quote and unquote John F. Kennedy. Are great leaders born to lead, or have they learned what it takes to be great? Here we have our own Ethirajian, Mr. V.M. Muralidharan, to teach us to lead properly, how to be a leader. Mr. V.M. Muralidharan is none other than our own Ethirajian from our Ethiraj family, a former chairman, Global Chief Operating Officer of Bahawan Cyber Tek, Chairman Alert NGO, Member FICCI. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us this morning. Over to Mr. V.M. Muralidharan. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Mangai. In fact, first of all, let me thank both Principal Dr. Kode and Mangai, Dr. Mangai, who's the Dean of Academics, and Dr. Sujata as well, for requesting me to have this session with all of you. It's my pleasure. First of all, I begin this session with the blessings of our revered founder, Shri V.L. Ethiraj, and the Almighty. And I'm sure that all of you who are listening today would bloom to be great citizens and then leaders in all walks of life in the years to come. So I would like to keep it interactive as much as possible, in the sense, especially in a virtual environment, many times one can keep continuing to talk without realizing how effective it is. So in that context, I wouldn't mind taking any questions which come on the chat in between. So that's one thing. And first, to set the context right, leadership is not for the, what you call the leaders who are defined as people who are at the top. It is for all. In today's context, this is a quality. Leadership is something which is extremely important to be successful in all walks of life. Today, as a fresh youngster, when any of you walk into an office or in your life also in the next steps, what is expected is that you have an innate leadership quality. A leadership quality encompasses so many things, and possibly I will try my best to convey what I have observed and what could possibly be you will be able to practice and hone yourself to be leaders as you move along. In fact, one of the things which one should understand is every one of you is the same. When I'm saying that, all of you, all of us, in fact, we are born with certain innate abilities, and I don't go by this phrase of leaders are born. No. Leadership is something which you can imbibe by observing people and understanding as to how to handle situations. Given a chance, if I were to set the clock back by about 30-40 years, I would definitely change the way I approached any walk of life, whether it's personal or professional. In fact, if you, for a moment, think, say about 40 years back, probably an Indra Nui or a Suchitra Ella, our own alumni who is heading Bharat Biotech, or Divya Surya Devara, who passed out in '99 from Ethiraj and who was the first CFO of General Motors. Now I understand she is getting involved in some startups to lead them. All these people would have possibly been sitting in a physical auditorium. Right now we are in a virtual auditorium. They would all been sitting without realizing 30-40 years later, this is where they would be. They've all been established leaders, great professional successes, but there are many thousands more who also been successful, which we may not be aware, but all of them have gone through the same few years of education in portals like Ethiraj College, and they have become great successes. So, in that context, if you look at what I believe is, like I was telling you earlier, normal people invariably learn from their experience. They make mistakes. They, in simple terms, if a person for the first ever time in life, a human being touches fire and knows that it is hot, would not touch it again. But that is getting hurt to learn. But smart people learn from others' experience, they learn from others' mistakes. So, all these sessions and all your observations about what goes on around you is only to make you hasten things in terms of your, what do you call, uh, improving your quality of handling situations. In this particular instance, yes, how do you become a leader? How do you become a better leader? Many of you would already be good leaders. I mean, in a house, you may be the eldest, you may be guiding your brothers, sisters, or you may be probably captaining a sports team, or you may be what you call part of a club. And more importantly, forget all that. You may just be ensuring how you manage your faculties, your abilities. You will try to see how to study, how to manage your time, how to manage your own selves. That's the first point of how you start leadership. Okay. Now, keeping that in mind, first of all, we should understand many times the term boss and leader are getting confused. In my opinion, there is no space for a boss. Boss is, as we say normally, don't be bossy. Boss is somebody who is not a leader. So, today, what we are looking at is how do you imbibe leadership qualities. When I'm saying that, the quality of a good leader, how, you will have to only look at examples. The leader should have a phenomenal personality trait, a character which you would want to be. Many times, why do we love movies where the heroes are do gooders? We never aspire to be villains. We want people who are do gooders, a person who does a lot of good, a good Samaritan. Most recently, probably about a week back, I saw in the newspaper that our commissioner of police of Greater Chennai, he had found a person, a lady who was involved in an accident on Cathedral Road, right here, probably a few kilometers from our college. And he stopped by, he provided her first aid support, made sure that she was carefully moved to medical attention. Now, in reality, at his level, he need not have done that. But the first thing, what happened for a person like me, when I read that, it made me feel very respectful about the person. The personality trait that he showed, that when there is a problem, I will be there. That is a personality trait of a true leader. And probably another thing which could be of importance is a person who's a leader should also be visible to the world. That should be the charismatic, we say, personalities, no? Now, a good leader will not need to be saying that he is good. He will be a role model by act, a role model by everything that he does. So when you look at a person, when you observe people who are great leaders, you will not need them to announce that they are great leaders. So it is not like you have to have posters across the town and proclaim that you are a leader. You can have a person in the house, there'll be one aunt of yours, everybody will look forward to. She is not having a display saying that I am a great leader, but then everybody gravitates to the person, an uncle or aunt or a grandfather, somebody who always has something which they can contribute in terms of guiding. In fact, the most big brands which are leading normally, or you would never even realize it, they don't require any advertisement. In cars, for example, let us take Rolls Royce. Rolls Royce is the number one brand in the world. Have you ever seen one single ad about Rolls Royce? You would never see, because they pride in the fact what we provide, people know, and that's it. The brand is big by not announcing itself. It's so charismatic. So a leader has to build that innate quality where he doesn't have to say, he will prove it with his actions and everything that he does. And extremely important for a leader is to be courageous. When I'm saying courageous, it is not to take a sword and a gun and go to the border and shoot. No, it's not that. Many times we are not in that frame of mind to accept reality. We are actually very about facing some things which are possibly we feel a little delicate about. Let me just give you an idea about what is courage. There was a company, the chairman was going to retire, and he felt in a year's time he wanted to find a successor. He had about 3 of the people who were below him and could possibly be the next ones. He just did not do anything. He gave each of them a seed and asked them to nurture it. They didn't know why it was being done. He asked them to nurture it and grow it and let them know about how it progresses. Each of them thought probably he's coming out with some new product in agriculture or something. He's trying to do something, an experiment, and he's asking us to do it. All the 3 of them went through the entire year. They had given progress reports, and one of them had a reasonable progress. He used a lot of manure, many things. In fact, it bloomed to be a reasonably good plant. The fruits were starting to bear, come out in the next year. The second person also, he tried something, but his attention to details was a little lesser. But yes, it still had bloomed. The third person, that did not even sprout. So all 3 of them, and he, in fact, he used to just say, okay, fine. I mean, I got what I wanted. He was going through that. At the end of the year, he wanted them to bring the pots. He saw all of them. And he said, gentlemen, at this point in time, I need to take a decision and I would want to retire. And in that context, I would definitely want one of you to take up the responsibility. And then he said, my choice is the person whose pot was blank. There was nothing at all. These people felt, how can it be? I mean, he can't even groom a plant to a level of blooming, and how does he think that this is going to? I mean, he is the type of person whom he should choose. Then he called each one of them and told, "Son, the seed that I gave you was a bad seed, a seed which will never become a plant. The two of the others had actually felt that they have to be successful. So what they did was they had actually changed the seed to a normal seed, a the plant bearing seed, made it successful, and they felt that they are going to satisfy. They felt that their boss did not know, and by mistake he gave a bad seed, so we cannot go back to him. And what you call, made sure that each of the pots were looking healthy with plants. Whereas the third person, he just did not budge. He just said, if my seed is not good, that is the truth, it will not be. Let me face it. Now, the integrity that he showed, the courage to face that reality was what made the current chairman choose him as a successor. He felt that is a quality required for a great leader. In fact, handling failures is something which is extremely important. In fact, I would not know, many of you would have probably heard about it. There was this Dr. Dhawan, who was the ISRO chairman in the 1970s. I think in 1979, for the first ever time, SLV-3 was launched. Dr. Kalam was the head of the project, and SLV-3, instead of going to the skies, it fell in Bay of Bengal. And when that happened, the whole press was definitely what you call sarcastic and wanted to have a go at Dr. Kalam. It was a failure. Dr. Dhawan said, my dear brother Kalam, you don't worry about it. He went ahead, faced the press, and press had a lot of difficult questions. He answered, everything was done. And then he said, don't worry, Dr. Kalam, let's try again. The next time, the SLV, it was a success. And at that time, Dr. Dhawan said, Dr. Kalam, it's now your turn to address the press. That's a mark of a great leader. Dr. Dhawan stood in a situation where it was difficult at the forefront, faced the brunt of what was going on. But when it was what you call a successful story, he had actually made sure that his subordinate gets the glory. These are all some phenomenal qualities. And many, many times, it needs courage to take tough decisions. When it comes to tough decisions, I never miss out on quoting the story of Kodak. Kodak was probably, some of you might not even remember, about 10 to 15 years back, that was probably one of the biggest camera brands in the world. It was all of $50 billion in turnover. A company which has survived for about 50 years or more even. At that point in time, the world was moving towards newer technologies, and Kodak had in their control digital camera. The technology was with them. And the senior management, when they sat together to think about what they should do, well, many people wanted to launch a digital camera, be the first and take the market. But out of $50 billion, they found that $40 billion was by way of film rolls business. Cameras was about 10 billion. And the feeling was that in case they come out of the digital camera, it will wipe the film roll business, which means the senior management team felt they will actually come down in business. There were a lot of debates as reality moved on. Kodak did not want to come out of the digital camera. Competition launched digital camera, took the market away. The old film roll camera was simply wiped out. And in a couple of years, Kodak had to file, literally, they went bankrupt. It is actually decision making needs courage. There are easy decisions and there are right decisions. Right decisions are always tough. But then the leader should have the capability, the courage to take those right decisions. Else, these type of stories would occur, like the Kodak story. And the other thing is, while normally it was never in the books, today innovation is the most important aspect of leadership. Innovation is nothing but trying to do the unknown. It's not necessary. In fact, I always say, never think like we did something very well last year. We will do it better this year. We'll do that even better next year. It doesn't help. If, let me say, Nokia had a key phone which was doing fantastically well for so many years and was probably having a 90% market share, like Kodak, had they smelt the fact that smartphones would become a reality, the new innovation where there was no key on the phone, they would have been successful because they had the entire market, the entire supply chain system. But what happened was they didn't innovate. The people who innovated, like Samsung, Apple, they took the market away completely. The people like Nokia, Motorola, Ericsson, who were all there in the space of mobile phones, completely got wiped out. So, in fact, many times, I mean, some of the decisions will be very interesting. Why recently? Those days, there was this famous tape recorder, the 2-in-1. People used to carry 2-in-1s. Whenever they come from abroad, they will carry one 2-in-1 from Dubai. It will have a tape recorder, it will have a radio, AM and FM. Then gradually that became 3-in-1. The normal mono recorder became a stereo recorder. Then they added alarm clock, small fancy extras, which they used to call it 4-in-1 and things like that. And what was essentially looking like a small square piece started becoming bigger and bigger, and people used to carry the huge ones with two big speakers, detached speakers, so that when you want, you can even detach it and keep it far. I mean, all those skills, all those things were being done. But suddenly, the chairman of Sony felt that why not make people enjoy music as they move? He just defined that I need something. While the market was growing with bigger and bigger pieces, he said, no, I want the smallest piece which can give the same experience, but as the person moves, for every individual without disturbing others. Walkman was born. Today we are having all these your smartphones with all the facilities, but those days it was such an innovation. From a growing big product, made one impact with such an impact, the market was, what do you call it, simply multiplied a few hundred folds, because every individual who was either jogging, walking, going wherever, sitting in the bus and listening to music privately with a headphone. That whole thing was born because of innovation. The next innovation was one of the electronic manufacturers, I don't get who it was, defined saying that TV is occupying space. Why not we have it like a calendar on the wall? A definition was because those days it was only tube TVs, where it used to be a huge cathode ray tube with beaming these things, and there was nothing called digital, and plasma TV was born. These were innovations. People felt that, and closer to home, I would never miss saying this again. It's the family of a dear friend, CK, what do you call, the people, the Kevin Care group. Their father in the early 70s found that two reasons. One is shampoo bottles were difficult to carry while he was at travel. It broke and spoiled the dresses. Second thing is it was a luxury item. People had to pay some 15, 20 rupees those days to buy a bottle of shampoo, while most people had salaries of about 500 to 600 rupees. He was not a great, big businessman. Those days, there were only a Tata group or a Birla group. There were not even a Reliance those days. There were only two big corporate groups. Otherwise, there was nobody. He, in a small town called Kadalur, innovated and said, I will make it in sachet, small packets costing 50 paisa. So if I want to use shampoo, I can buy paying 50 paisa for one use. And possibly if I want, whenever I can afford with a 50 paisa, I can buy. And he simply revolutionized that market. Even today, he's called the sachet king. He revolutionized that market, did two things. He got a new market for shampoos, and shampoo itself became a very popular non-luxury item after that. So all these are things which show what a leader should have, to have courage to think differently, right? And definitely one thing is, if I have to follow somebody, I should respect him for his abilities. He has to be competent. For that, whether you are when you're studying in your college, you in a structured fashion you keep gaining knowledge. But after that, many times people think, I have done my BCom, I have done my BA, I have done my MSc, MCom, whatever it is, MBA. I can actually, with this, survive in life all along. No, not at all. In today's context, what you learn today may not be even useful when you step out to your corporate offices, because the syllabus has all been made few years back, and what the market demands are probably moving at a faster pace. Imagine if that is the case, after 10 years what it will be, after 20 years what it will be. It is important to be continuously aware of the changes. I'm not talking about knowing up to the last detail, but it's important to be conscious about the changes, understand the high level changes, comprehend what is happening in any walk of life, even in personal life, and make sure that you can be a mentor or a guide. It's possible only when you're competent. So this is a very, very important thing. And definitely, I always believe decision making will be extremely important. And the decision making, in my personal life, I've always found I'll have a plan A. If it fails, a plan B, then possibly a plan C if possible. But 9 out of 10 times I found what had succeeded is plan B. So many times I found my friends and other people fail because they have a plan A. They're very optimistic about that being successful. But when it comes to plan B, they don't think because they are so confident that that one plan that they had will succeed. So they'll find that when they work at senior levels along with teams, when the one plan that they have does not succeed, the team is also disillusioned because they don't know what to do because their leader had confidently planned something. When it failed, he is clueless and the entire team is clueless. Today, I think when you see IPL matches, you'll find that the plans are all floating. You will not know. One day, Sam Curran will come number 8. Another day, he'll be number 1. There is another day, he'll be number 4. One day, a spinner will bowl the first over. Another day, somebody else will do. I mean, it is all so very, the changes are so dynamic. So that is something which is extremely important. So for all this, I think what you require is the courage, the innovation, competence, all of this together. And as I'm telling you, don't even think innovation is again for a Kodak or for what you call even the velvet shampoo, Mr. Chinni Krishnan. No, I had this experience in a small, what do you call, outlet. I don't know whether it's one of these Viveks or Vasant and Co or something. Around 12 or 13 years back, when the LED TVs were just in, my kids wanted to have a nice LED TV, a big TV. Those days, it was 40 inch was the biggest and costing about 90,000 or 80,000 or something like that. While the family would be very happy, the money has to be paid by me. So I was a little reluctant, if not totally reluctant. And I already had a 34-inch TV at home, a box TV, which was good. So from a 34 or 29-inch or 34-inch to move it to say 40-inch, I did not see so much of value for me. But the kids were quite keen. And when I was discussing, there was one boy who possibly was about 18 to 20. I don't know whether he was even 20. No great English, if that is going to add value. He was explaining about the LED TV. I had been to about 2 or 3 shops. And you know, in all these shops, there are multiple booths. One for LG, one for Sony, one for so-and-so, one for all these brands. This guy said, sir, if you take this TV and put it on a wall, you can put it on a wall which is not coming in the way of anything in a place where an unused type of a space in a drawing room. And currently your box TV would be on a table, and possibly you will have to leave at least about 5 feet by 5 feet around it, so that because it's occupying floor space, and you will have to sit away from it, and so that occupies space, and you will gain 25 square foot of space in your house. All of 18 to 19-year-old boy, all similar to all of you people who are listening here. He was not even a graduate, to my knowledge. It just hit me. I spent about 80,000 rupees, buy a TV, which will go to a wall, which will not occupy space. It's also probably much more with high resolution and In those days, the first time a flat TV, so it was like a movie in the home. All that is fine. 25 by 25 square feet, I mean 25 square feet of space in Adyar at that time was costing around 7,000 rupees. 1,75,000 is the cost of creating that space. And if I get this TV, I get that extra space at home. The second thing is, when that happens, my family is happy. It was a new innovation, the LED TV, the wall TV. So it gives me much more. There are many other intangible benefits. But what was important was, I took the decision, we took the TV home. And believe me, it really made the drawing room look very big, because the other TV was occupying space. But all because somebody like you at your age in that shop, nobody would have taught him this particular aspect. He enjoyed his job. He took that innate leadership, innovative capability within himself, explained something which made an impact on me, made me buy. And I felt innovation is not limited to highly educated people sitting in research labs and what you call CEO positions. So that is why I'm saying that is all of you can comfortably be innovative. Okay. And okay, all this is fine, but everything will have to be done within the life that we have in front of us. All of us have the same lifespan, plus or minus 15, 20 years. Everybody today lives probably, if you're fortunate, anywhere between 75 to 95 years. And during that phase, you have to succeed with whatever is given in front of you as an opportunity. The most popular thing that I hear from most people, including my subordinates, is that I don't have time. Unfortunately, unlike money, unlike real estate, unlike all other things, whether it is our prime minister or probably a shop salesperson, everybody has only 24 hours. God has made that alone equal to everybody. The time available to everybody is absolutely not different. It is not even that somebody has 24 and a half hours in a day. Everybody has only the same 24 hours. So how do we improve our efficiency levels? Drop time wasters. I'll explain to you. When I say drop time wasters, don't get me saying that I am becoming what you call like the chairman of a college, or your staff members, or a elderly parent saying that don't waste time on what you call watching a movie. Don't spend time on playing. No. It's not like that. I would say that if you seriously analyze, around 8 out of 10 decisions that you have to do can be done immediately. Normally, why we waste time is because we invariably take exorbitant time to decide on even very simple things. If I want to, what you call, have my car serviced or a bike serviced, if I know there is a problem, I have to service it, I can decide now and say, yes, I'll either go to the mechanic and give it to him and say, get it serviced. Or I can say, yeah, I have to get it serviced. And why you're not doing it? Nothing. It is just that I know I have to get it serviced. I'll do it probably later in the day. Or I'll say, okay, fine, let me probably do it on Monday when I'm going to the office or something. I'll drop the vehicle. But inevitably what happens is we think about it, keep it occupied in our mind for long periods of time, And by the time we do it, it also adds to the problem in the vehicle. And at some stage, we find that when something is not done, it keeps occupying our time most of the time. I mean, it is like, yeah, I have to leave, give it for service. I have to give it for service. Like that, you will invariably find many things are postponed. And in my daily profession, when people come to me, they may ask me a decision. For example, let me say there is some business decision. Somebody wants to place an order on our products in the company for X, say 10 lakhs. And our price is say 10.5 lakhs. If it is feasible and if it is decided then as yes, or if I say no, not 10, it is 10.2 lakhs, go try to convince. A decision is given off my table, so the person below me knows that he has to do it, he'll go and do it. But if, let me say, he says, okay, give me some time, I'll tell you. That sometime becomes a day, then 2 days, then 3 days, and then I call him after 4 days and tell him, hey, Krishnan, do one thing, no? Why don't you go and try for 10.2? 3 days I wasted. He also was wasting his time because he wanted this order because it is his target. Then he goes and comes back and tells me, sir, on that day he asked, but then he waited for us for a day and then he finished it with somebody else. Now, invariably, what happens is when you delay, you actually get into multiple problems, and also it wastes your time. So, in my opinion, if you analyze in life, 8 out of 10 decisions, if you apply your mind, can be almost instantaneously decided as yes or no. What does that mean? There will be two extremely important decisions, and those decisions will have all your time and attention, and you will be able to do it more effectively, more intelligently, and more in the successful way that you want. So time management is something which is extremely important, because out of the available 24 hours, it is in your hands to create more time for yourself for the relevant and more important things. And delegation. This is probably the most difficult thing for many people. When I'm looking at it, a person of great capability will have many people around him, young people, lesser capable people, all that will be there. And invariably, their feeling will be, if I give this work to this person, will this person be able to do it? When the doubt comes in the mind, they would never allow that person to do. Two things will happen. When a person is allowed to do and comes back and possibly makes an error, if you, show your anger and express that you're upset with the person, it is not only going to make the person not do it well in the future, but it will demoralize demotivate him or her. Whereas similarly, there are people who have lesser capability. Invariably, if you start feeling that if I had done it, I would have done it fantastically well, all these people are useless. In my opinion, delegation is an art. In fact, number one, whatever be the capability of the people around you, you should have trust. Trust that the person is committed and sincere about doing what you are requesting. The second thing is you have to mentor them. You have to first understand that person is not as capable as you are and will require your support to be successful. In fact, it is extremely important for people to make a person successful. And once any individual who is in your team, in your family as a younger person, sometimes elder people who are not as educated, you give them that, show them trust and show them that empathy, mentor them. I'm absolutely certain they would become extremely successful. Recently, I had an opportunity to see a video of Saurav Ganguly. In fact, he said when he had started having Yuvraj Singh in his team, Yuvraj is much younger, more brash. He was actually not what you call I mean, it was typically a 18-year-old, no, who did not, who actually was playful. He was not very keen to apply his mind. He was most he wanted to just have his fun. It seems they went to I don't know which country. Ganguly told that hotel guy, just keep a watch privately on this guy and keep me informed. And what happened was, when as Ganguly what do you call judged, after a day he found that even at about 9 o'clock or something in the evening, he couldn't find Yuvraj in his room. Then he asked this guy, where are the pubs in this town? And went there, and as he assessed Yuvraj as one of the pubs, just went, sat with him, put an arm around him and told, enough, come along, made sure that he had a good night's sleep, started performing well. And over a period of time, Ganguly said, I had the choice of admonishing, probably showing anger, saying, how the hell can you stay away? But he said, I knew this guy was an amazing talent, but it is for me to manage, ensure that he understands his skill and becomes a great success. In fact, there was one more sad story long back when Tendulkar and Kambli both were great talents. Kambli was similar to Yuvraj. He was not very well, I mean, like he had his distractions. And in about 2 or 3 years, he failed after a great start to his career. Why I'm saying that is, at the end of it, delegation is not about saying, you do this. Delegation is about how you make sure that people are successful. It is actually extremely what you call it is like a guru shishya relationship. In fact, I'm not getting into that SMART goals primarily because I think that is very, very obvious. It's simply specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time-bound goal. I mean, only one thing I'll tell you is no goal which is not measurable will ever be successful. Measurable goals are only going to be successful. So that is one thing which you always should keep in mind, because imagine a running race. You're all in the starting block. And somebody says 1, 2 and a gunshot and you start running. If you don't know how long, If you don't know how long, both in terms of distance and time, that you should run, it will never be a you'll never be able to show, you'll never be clear as to what you're supposed to achieve. If, let me say, you think that, okay, I need to get this done in this 1 week, you can measure every day whether you are progressing towards that. At the end of the week, if you are only 80% done, you'll again know that maybe it will take 2 more days to complete, but you will know what you attempted and what you how you should succeed. So it is extremely important that one should have measurable goals. That's why they talk about even the time. It should be time bound. So these are things which many of these what you call acronyms help us in terms of understanding how we can have a success plan. For that, every parameter, whether it is time, whether it is value, whether it is even sometimes people have, like, even in a Rotary or something, they'll say membership drive, we should at least add another 200 members. Why do you say the 200? Why not they say we have a membership drive? They can simply say that, which means, is it 100? Is it 500? It is just to make sure that at least we have a goal and then we work towards it. And when we achieve it, we know that we have achieved a measure which we felt was important for our success. So these are some of the things which make you, I'm not talking about making you the CEO of a company, but I'm talking about even succeeding when you join an organization or in personal lives. Even when you join, when we in our company, an IT company, when we take a person, we look at how much of leadership trait that a person has, that personality trait, no? Because that is when people will take responsibility. If a subordinate who is 4 levels down the line, who is the first level manager for me, when he has a person who is fresh, he will want to mentor and explain to the person. But then the person should know, if I'm asked to do something, I should do it. Even if the boss, the so-called leader, does not tell you how long, by when you should do it. If you ask the person who is your manager, sir or madam, you asked me to get this done, when do you want it? I'm telling you, the person will absolutely be most respectful of you, because the person's respect will go up simply because the person, the manager, he or she would feel, I have a person who does not do whatever, whenever, however. The person wants to know when and how much has to be delivered and is accountable to that. That is called leadership. That is called ownership. So this is something which is important for all of you for being successful. Even at early stages in life, you will be much greater successes. As I was telling you, if I were to go back by about probably 30 years, I would definitely, what you call, definitely change the way I approach life. I just got a few questions which I thought I will address, if possible, now itself. Yeah, fantastic. Good afternoon. 1 minute. Good afternoon. How to overcome the fear of doing mistakes? A great barrier that hinders us to make decisions. This is from Sabur Afrin Rizwana. Thanks, Mark. This is a very, very important question. In fact, if you look at it, I was talking about courage. How to overcome fear? Fear is what, if you talk to a person like Tendulkar or Dhoni, they will say when they go into the field, they have a certain amount of fear. Because after all, if they face that one ball which takes the wicket, that is the first one, they are going to be a failure. What is most important is you should not have the fear. That is you should if you attempt something and fail. Hello, somebody's talking. Hello, hello. Yeah, okay. See, the most important thing is when you fail, you should learn. As I was telling you, learning from others' mistakes is wise, but at your age, there will be people. You just look around. There are people who are in sports, your own classmates. There are people who are in who actually have failed, and some of the people who are extremely successful in business are phenomenal failures in school and college. In fact, some of them joke around. I was such a failure, I didn't even realize that I'll be so successful. But what happens is, I will give you one example. Uh, Imagine you draw a 2 feet wide pathway on the ground. On the ground, a road, you mark 2 feet width. There is a long strip. If you are asked to walk over it, I am very certain that you will walk without any fear. From end to end, you will walk. I'm not asking you to close your eyes. Now, the same 2 feet wide strip, just make it a platform, a small platform of a height of about maybe 2 feet. 2 feet height, 2 feet width, a platform of about 50 meters on the road. Again, if I ask you, you will walk. You will walk comfortably. You will walk even a little fast. Now I'll make it 5 feet high. With a certain amount of care, you will walk on the same 2 feet width only. 2 feet is comfortable width. You can walk. Cut it and I'll make it into probably a 50-meter high, what you call wall, 2 feet wide. I take you up there and ask you to walk for 50 meters. You start getting into a fear mode. It's the same 2 feet. What you could comfortably walk when it was on the floor or 2 feet or 5 feet high, when it's probably 50 meters or 100 meters, you tend to lose focus. If you can understand that, when you are focused on the 2 feet, you can walk even at that height. But somewhere our mind is not on the 2 feet. The mind is on the rest of it. We start looking down. We start feeling that what happens if I fall down? Now, just switch from that. You would have seen these people who are walking on the rope across buildings. How do they do it? When they do that, they just don't think about anything other than the rope. It is like the 2 feet. They practice on a rope, probably 5 feet, 10 feet high for a while. Then they're confident whether it is 10 feet high or probably 100 meters high, their focus is only on the rope. Most of the time, we get into a fear situation because we don't look at the rope or the 2 feet strip. We look at something outside. Very recently, There was an interview that Martina Navratilova, I think she should be around 40s, 45 or something, one of the biggest champion tennis players of about 25, 30 years back. She was the champion for a very long time. And even today, she has been reasonably successful in, given her age, in mixed doubles and things like that. Somebody asked, "You're at this age, and how do you manage to play so well?" You know what she told? "You know that I'm 45-year-old, but the tennis ball does not know. I just look at the tennis ball and hit it." Her mind is focused only on that, and the mind is focused only on ensuring achieving her goal. In many cases, that's what happens. Even for that matter, many people are extremely good in practice in sports. In cricket, I've seen people who are phenomenally good at the net practice. They bash the ball out of the ground with disdain. They are so successful. But what happens is, when they get into a huge ground, when they know that they have to now play a competitive game and have to succeed, there's a fear which comes to mind. When they see a bowler who is of international repute, if the batsman starts fearing, "Oh, this is Ashwin bowling at me, this is Jeffrey Archer bowling at me," then they are not looking at the ball, they are distracted by the bowler. The successful new unknown players who are now doing very well, they just look at the ball. They know that they're capable, and they play. That is what you should actually first remove, the distracting other things out of your mind, and focus on what, if you are good at something, when you are put into a bigger platform, you will definitely be able to achieve. Whether it is, I was telling you, Indra Nui or Sucharita Ella or anybody for that matter, were sitting at, like you, in the classroom. They were no different. In fact, there are many people who say, "I am able to speak very well, but in a mic, when I'm made to stand in the stage and address an audience of 1,000 people, theriyala bayama irukku." I'll tell you, don't look at the distractions. Sometimes it may be a good idea to either look at infinity and talk, look at something else, or look at somebody whom you're comfortable with in the audience and talk. When you look around and probably find some of your classmates giggling at you, you will feel like, "Am I doing the right thing?" Sometimes you will be thinking, "Will I do mistakes?" Don't think. Everything in life is all about being focused on what you want to do and not get distracted by things. I mean, just think about it. You are equal to others, no? How can you be a failure? You cannot be a failure. I hope I'm able to answer what you had asked for, but I will be willing to even offline answer you in case it can help. Any other questions?
Girls, if you have any questions, please post it in the chat box.
Okay, I'll keep continuing. If the questions come, I can always break and answer, not a problem at all. And to succeed in life, one has to negotiate. And negotiation skill is not something, again, I feel it's not something which is not known to all of us. When we are born as an infant, a baby, We negotiate with our parents without even realizing it. Our communication is crying. We make sure our cry will not stop unless we get what we want. Then our parents also negotiate with us. At some stage, they say, I'll give you a chocolate if you do this. The most famous negotiation where I would say where we get fooled is when the mother shows the moon and feeds the kid, saying that I'll get you the moon. So it is not like negotiation is something very new to all of us. It is just that we have to get it into a slightly formatted state of mind. And we have to understand in negotiation, the most important thing is we should be willing to lose. When I'm saying we are willing to we should be willing to lose, let me take one example. In a game of chess, not a single game has ended without losing of coins. Even at the minimum, there could be a few pawns and things like that lost before the king is put down. A great player, whether in tennis or anywhere, does not in life always win every what you call set. They lose rallies. It is only that they, in all walks of life, we win the key points, the important points, and we lose some coins like in chess to win the game. Negotiation is all about that. In fact, we should be in many cases. Why I'm saying that is, if you look at a kid, when a kid starts learning chess, what happens is when the elder person who's playing with the kid cuts a pawn, the kid's eye starts welling with tears. The kid starts feeling, I'm losing. There are times when the kid simply clears the board and says, I'm not interested. You're what do you call, you're winning and I don't like it. In fact, many times all these sports tune our minds to lose to succeed. Negotiation is all about losing to succeed. In fact, in personal life also, you should never win arguments. You should win the hearts. You should win the person. If you win arguments, you lose the relationship. It's true. It's not a nice statement. In business also, the same thing happens. When you prove a point to the person sitting on the other side that he or she is wrong, I am telling you, I have won over you, made sure that I am the winner, you are not. I want, say, 1 lakh rupee for this particular business, and you wanted 1 lakh 10. If you make the person feel that no, you lost 10,000 rupees and I got what I wanted, I got 1 lakh 10,000. I mean, I'm telling you, invariably, when you make the person feel that he is lost, the negotiation is not successful. And negotiation is successful only when both the people who are in the conversation, when both the people who are in the transaction, both feel that they are winning. This is a very important thing. In business and personal life, a negotiation is can only be successful if it's a win-win. If, let me say, you go to a shop, you negotiate, you see a product costing 120 rupees, you negotiate with the person, you ask for 100 and he gives it to you at say 110, you buy it and come out. You go to the next shop, you find that the list price there, what is written there is 100. You ask him, he says, no, I can't reduce the price, 100 is my price, this is the fixed price. And you still feel that you lost 10 rupees there, because when you asked for 100, he didn't give you. Then possibly that shop will lose you forever. So negotiation is all about how you apply your mind, make sure you show the value to the other person by relating with you what the person is going to gain, and it is that you are paying me because I am going to give you so much value. The value could be, for a simple thing I'll tell you. Yeah, I've got a question. Good. 1 minute. I'm just opening the question. Yeah. How does ego play a role in negotiation? From Sahana Pari. Thanks, Sahana. You asked a question which is absolutely what you call bang on. It is ego which actually breaks negotiations. As I was telling you, winning arguments is only born out of ego. If a person has ego, it is not the win, it is not succeeding in negotiation from your perspective. You want to show to the other person you have won. I have, in fact, ego, if it is a successful negotiation, it will be win-win. If it is an egoistic negotiation, you will win, and you will make the other person know that he or she has lost. Once that happens, forever you may just get that one transaction successful, but forever you will never do transaction with the other person, because that person will never trust you. And in life, to succeed, you will require a lot of relationships, engagements, and business, what you call the clients. All of them should be happy at the end of negotiating with you. In fact, I'll tell you, there are times when at the end of a negotiation, if the person feels very, very happy from both sides, will say, fine, we have negotiated, you said 100 rupees, and I'm also happy with that, but I want this to be delivered properly. Whatever you're doing, I want you to do it very, very well. I will pay you 102. But my only request is there should not be any letdown at all. So, yeah, there's one more. I suppose I got this point across. Ego in a negotiation will kill the relationship, and that, whether it's a business partnership or life partnership, if the friend or anybody, it will forever lose trust. It should never come in the way. Ego should never come in the way. In fact, in life itself, ego should never come in the way. There's one more question from Rohini. What is the greatest asset to have when you're going into a negotiation? One of the greatest asset you should have is, you should have the listening capability. You should have empathy for the other person. When I'm saying listening capability, you should actually make sure, be open-minded to first of all understand whether the other person has a reason for the request. Because Fairness is a very, very important factor in successful negotiation. Very, very important, right? Once that listening happens, then there should be empathy. The empathy, I mean, it's not sympathy. Please understand. You should actually understand the person should feel that you are not unfair. That will come only when there is empathy. So in fact, many times I would tell, you should put yourself in the other person's shoe. If you were in that position, do you think that is a manipulated request or whether it is a genuine request? As long as it is a genuine request, you should make every attempt to satisfy that. In fact, there are many times I find that when you go to a restaurant, when you're regular, sometimes they'll come and tell you, sir, this is our, what do you call, today's compliment to you. It is not to make you just feel happy. It's a matter of, you have been giving so much of business to us. This extra dish that I give you is to make sure that I want to be fair to you. You have given so much of profit to me, I am giving it to you. So in negotiation, listening is an extremely important factor, and empathy means understanding the other person's perspective is an extremely important factor. In fact, I would even say the conflict resolution is slightly intertwined with what we are talking about. In fact, many times what happens is in conflict resolution, what happens is that ego, what we were discussing earlier, comes into mind. Many times, what is a conflict? A conflict is when two people are not seeing eye to eye on something. And when you're not seeing eye to eye, you'll definitely, what you call, in fact, forever, no? You will never be together, because you do not want to make, you want to make sure the other person understands, I am not in agreement with you. Right? In fact, in negotiation, many times such conflicts are never resolved, and that is when the whole thing goes for a toss. In fact, I'm not too sure whether you people will remember that, because that could have been around 10 years back, 10, 12 years back, when Dhoni was made captain of the Indian team. Yuvraj Singh was what you call almost known to be the next captain. Almost known. He was an extremely successful player. He had many things going his way. He had played under 19, come up the ladder. Ganguly had great regard for him. Many things. Dhoni had come in a little later, but he was also very successful. And at one stage, as it happened, Dhoni was made captain. It is extremely difficult, a conflict of a different kind. These are inflicted conflicts. It is not that Dhoni did wrong or Yuvraj did any wrong, but there was a selection. The BCCI, they selected Dhoni to be the captain. Now today, Yuvraj had the choice of completely brooding. But what happened was, Yuvraj congratulated Dhoni, might have been sad as well, but he became an amazing success. The success was astounding. In fact, after 1983, it was 2008. I think it was 2008 and 2011. The two World Cups, the T20 and the One Day, both were won when Yuvraj was an extremely key performer for the Indian team. Now, if the conflict was affecting Yuvraj, because Dhoni is anyway captain, so it should not affect him that way. It would have completely, what you call, forever Yuvraj would have been thinking, I lost my captaincy, because there can be only one captain, there cannot be two, right? So it's not like, okay, fine, I mean, today we'll do some. It's not going to happen. It is not just reconciling, but it is reconciling with a positive intent, which means there should be no ego, there should be no any other thing coming in the way. One should focus and make sure that I will still be the best in the world. He hit 6 sixes in an over, which was possibly a phenomenal achievement. How did it happen? Because Yuvraj, who could have been absolutely disappointed, kept that aside, congratulated Dhoni, hugged him, and said, together we'll make a great success. And they were party in 2 World Cup wins. In fact, the best thing that you'll see in most places where movies which are very, very successful will be the ones which have conflicts resolution. There will be big challenges which ultimately get solved. Yeah, there is one more question from Sneha. Tell me about a time you disagreed with a co-worker's idea on a project you were both working on together. I've had extremely many occasions where I had to disagree. But it's not disagreeing how I disagreed. The most important thing I was telling you is the capability to listen. If I can spend a little more time on this, personally, I believe that even when I think that I am right and I have a decision in mind, when somebody comes and tells me I have an idea of how to solve this problem or for an issue, I keep my idea and the decision which I had thought about separately and listen to the person as if I am listening fresh. Why I'm saying that is, when you do that, there are 2 things which has happened for me. If in the last so many years, if I had about 1,000 times I would have had to make decisions, I have found about 100 times after listening intently, I've changed my decision. Because I did not have an ego in mind, so I could change the decision. There are times when, as the leader, I have expressed my decision with a team of about 10 people in a conference room. And after that, there were times when somebody in the team would have told, sir, can I explain my perspective and a resolution of a different thing which I have? Again, I say, just forget it. Let's all of us listen to this gentleman. There are times when I have said, buddy, you've given a fantastic decision. I would rather keep my thought process aside and let's go with this. That's because I don't have, I'm not saying I don't have ego. I'm a human being, but I try to ensure that that ego doesn't come in the way. And the other thing which I believe is that if, let me say, I have to tell the other person, disagree and say, I am not going with your decision, I normally call the person aside separately, have a chat with them, explain my perspective, understand, make him understand why I'm making a decision. I make sure that this person is fully in sync with me. That is where I said, you should be a leader and not a boss. And when, let me say, as a personality trait, all the years when people know that I will be fair and unbiased in my decision making, when an occurrence happens where I have to make a decision to the contrary, but again, I'm telling you, when you disagree, I normally take the person aside. Don't make a public thing of making the person say, hey, I'm not going by your decision, I'm taking my decision, and make the person feel demoralized in front of many people. In fact, always it's not just a phrase, praise in public and criticize or tell anything differently in private. If you do the right thing, if the intent, I'm telling you one more thing, if your intention is right and you consistently demonstrate that fairness, unbiased nature, and also that come what may, whether it is whatever be the situation, you will never be swayed by manipulative tendencies. As long as you consistently show that, I'm telling you, the people around you will always support you. This is my experience. This is my experience. My experience is you have to build it as a trait. If, let me say, there are times when people say, I mean, why is Dr. Kalam being respected so much? It is something which possibly is built over time. It is not built over. It is not. It is not. It is not a 10-point charter which says Dr. Kalam is like this. Dr. Kalam is like this. Dr. Kalam. People have seen him demonstrating some personality traits. They respect it. So when he says something, again, I'm telling you, it's not that. In fact, one other thing which I would not mind saying anywhere, I feel I'm not perfect. No human being is perfect, and I am definitely not perfect. And I am definitely always not necessarily correct. When I have these two things in mind, whether it is a junior employee, a person who is at my security guarding the gate, or somebody else, if a person comes and tells me, sir, in our toilet, I think if you have this, it will be better because it seems to be a little, what do you call, it could be cleaner by doing this. There are two ways of looking at it. One is, first of all, why should I listen to him? Second is, I can listen to him and say, come along, let's go and see the toilet. And if what he says is true, do what he says. Idea if he has. I'm telling you, what is wrong? Many times there are people who have told me, we need not actually listen to that. But my feeling is, good ideas can come from anybody. Good, what do you call, anything. I mean, it's intelligent things come from anybody. And for that, I think we should be a good listener. We should have empathy and make sure that even when we disagree, we should make sure you respect the other person and get the person around to, what do you call, understand why you're deciding in different way. Disagreements, again, should be handled very, very, what do you call, in a very professional manner. In fact, as I told you, that's what even the movies, when you enjoy a movie, you will find that they are solving a huge conflict. Only when that is, when the whole movie ends, and many movies even show the villain also accepts and the hero hugs him and says, forget the past. And I mean, we like it because as a human race, we like to see that everybody is happy. Okay, what is the difference between conflict management and conflict resolution? Zaima Soha. Thanks, Suha. See, conflict resolution is taking a final decision, right? It is like somebody says that I want this wall to be painted in red. Another person says that red is too gaudy, it is not good, it has to be yellow. It's just that there is a conflict. I'm trying to simplify the conflict. Now, when two people have absolutely different this thing, there can be only one color in that wall. Possibly the alternative could be stripe it with yellow and red, or have both of them together, think it out, find why this person said red or that person said yellow. Make sure that, in fact, that is where I normally find it a little easier, because when people step into my room, they know even if I support one of them, I will not be doing that out of bias. If let me say, for example, I'm telling you, if you respect a person extremely well and you go to that person, there are times, many times, there will be one aged uncle in a family, and they'll say, there is a problem that we are facing, let's go and talk to him. Invariably, if that person talks, what you call, understands, comes to a conclusion, tells, why don't you, and again I'm telling you, conflict management, as I told you, conflict resolution. In fact, both conflict management is nothing but when there are not many decisions being made, but we try to keep the, what you call, minds together. Again, there will be more small decisions. For example, if we have to go to, say, Bangalore, should we go by flight or car? That could be a decision to be made. Or you're going on the way in car. Should we stop at Kanjipuram for lunch or should we stop at Vellore for lunch? One person feels, I think at Kanjipuram there's a beautiful place, new place. Why don't I get down there and talk? I mean, have the lunch. The other person says, no, that is too early. It's only going to be 11:45. If we go to Vellore, it will be around 1 o'clock. It will be the right time for lunch. This will entail both conflict management and conflict resolution. Because one person feels the food is good here, the other person feels the timing is good there. So how do you handle this? See, ultimately, I'll tell you, in all these issues, you have to first be clear that for the sake of harmony and a journey, whether it's professional or in life, we should be overall together and happy. I think then this is a very important thing, dropping the ego. It's like when this conflicts happen. In fact, I will tell you in Tamil, because this is what I believe in. I normally say, vittu kuduthale vaalkai. Life is all about forgiving. Because we will be facing situations day in, day out. The moment we don't want to, in small things also, if we don't want to forgive, we will have so much of baggage in mind. When the baggages are in mind, whether in professional or personal life, we will always be deciding based on those baggages. Believe me, at my age, I know of friends from school who tell me, hey, And that Nagarajan, don't ever trust him here. Why? No, when we were in school, in 8th standard, when we were playing some game, he owed me that ball. He never gave it. I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating. People judge somebody today also based on what his experience in school was. Baggages cannot be worse than that. Why I'm saying that is, invariably, conflict management is all about thinking, is it worth not giving in? And again, somebody can ask, why should I give in? Why not the other person? In my opinion, 8 out of 10 times, like I was talking about, what do you call, in decision making, you can be fast. 8 out of 10 times, I believe both can give in. But whoever is more mature will give in. A simple thing I'll tell you, you are probably, what do you call, same wall painting example I'll tell you. At home, let me say, you are 4 of us in the family, and somebody feels like, I want the wall to be white. Somebody says, I would like it to be a little, probably half white. Somebody says, why not sky blue? Now there's a discussion and debate. If I have the debate, I normally, unless somebody says something horrendous in terms of color, I'll say anything is okay for me. Because I feel it is not something which is going to affect me. But the fact is, I may like a different color, but I don't mind this. Like this, there could be many, many things which are decisions, which why we stick on to something is because we are egoistic. We feel, I wanted this, therefore it should be this. I wanted to have it in this restaurant in Kanjipuram. How can the other person say 1 o'clock could be right for lunch? But one of them can say, fine, after all, it's a good place. Why not? Is something going to become seriously wrong if you have food at Kanjipuram 1 hour earlier? Not at all. Or if the other person, okay, fine, 1 o'clock lunch is also right. Why not? So, how will it, what do you call, it may not matter at all. But invariably, what happens is that forgiving nature is a little less with most of us. If we build that, I'm telling you, 9 out of 10 times we will never have conflicts. And if each one amongst all of you, whenever you are there, as long as it is not a serious decision, one should probably build that quality. That is not being submissive. It is only being mature. I think I don't know whether I answered the question, but this is what I practice. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And one more thing is, never do you only get into a discussion to prove a point to the others. Just think it should be for not just proving the point, right? And never should you manipulate. That's something extremely, extremely, extremely important. Yeah. Any other questions coming forth, or?
Girls, if there are no further questions, let me have the privilege of proposing the vote of thanks. Thank you so much, sir, for enthralling the
1 minute,
audience.
1 minute. I'll just sum it up and close it off. One of the things is, my personal feeling is, what can I say? A leader, if you look at it, to just give an acronym, listen is extremely important, because humility, courage, negotiation, everything, conflict management is all going to happen only by listening. I would say, empower. That will help you trust people. Adapt. When I'm saying adapt, you will be able to innovate, you will be open minded. Of course, you should delegate. That should be something. But delegating, you should again mentor people, and then over a period of time, you will build experience. That will be the E. And respond. Time management will have to be without procrastination. So if you do listen, if you empower, if you adapt, if you delegate, if you use your experience, and if you respond in time, I'll tell you, you will be great successes. And my own thing will be, never do you what do you call win arguments, never do you bring ego in picture. You would be fantastic successes in life. May God bless you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for enthralling the audience by your exemplary speech on leadership skills like the confidence, courage, innovation, planning, trust, time management, delegation, execution, and most importantly, how to cope up with our ego and also to cope up with our failures. I'm sure that this lecture would ignite a spark and motivate our girls to lead the professional as well as their personal life. At this juncture, I would like to thank our management, Principal Dr. S. Kodai, Vice Principals Dr. Usha Rani and Usha Priya, fellow colleague Dr. Mangair Karasi, Deans, HODs, and staff members for their support and guidance in all our endeavors. I take this opportunity to thank all the participants for their enthusiastic interactive session. Thank you all. Have a fabulous day. Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.